Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome, beautiful souls, to another episode from the Creator Metaphysical Store. So, this is for all my kitchen witch family who love to do kitchen magic in the kitchen. Now, let's first go over again what magic is. Magic is just energy, and we know energy never dies, it can only be changed. So, in kitchen magic, we use the herbs and the spices and say like the fruits and the vegetables, the meat, uh, milk or whatever it is we put into that. We use it with intention. Now, one of my favorite kitchen witch recipes is one for happiness and love. And what you do is you take cacao powder, not cocoa powder, cacao powder. Now, cacao powder is a lot more bitter, but it is unprocessed in the sense of cacao. Cocoa is processed, cacao isn't. Reason why cacao isn't is because that's like straight from the cacao fruit. Um, but like when you use cocoa, that's processed. Basically, they've burnt most of the nutrients. So I prefer to use cacao because it still has most of the, if not all of the antioxidants and nutrients, and it's good as an antidepressant. It actually helps build dopamine, helps raise your dopamine levels, and so it makes you happy during the day. Actually, they used to make a cacao wine called Pulque, and I would love, if it's possible, I'm going to do it. I'm going to have a greenhouse, and I'm going to grow a cacao tree because I just love cacao. Cacao is one of my favorite plant spirits to work with. This tree is just so happy and vibrant, and I feel like whenever I go to that realm, I just got nothing but happiness and nothing but love here in that plant realms dimension. So it's like really beautiful. So this is going to require you to have cacao and a gallon of milk. If you are like me, I use either the almond milk or the oat milk or some soy milk, but I also use cow's milk for my estrogen process. And that reminds me, I gotta take my medication. Remember, guys, your medication is important, so don't stop taking it. I'm actually surprised these things are still working. I haven't used them in like forever. So, um, let me take these real quick, and then we can continue what we're saying. No matter how I try to swallow it, they still taste weird. Um, so, where was I? Yes. Excuse me, guys. So you take cacao and you take milk. Now, if you're someone like me, I do cacao water, which is basically boiling mineral water, and I use mineral water. You can use whatever water you like, but I prefer the hot springs mineral water, and use that. And I use the um, cacao powder and let that boil because there are two reasons why I do this. So I make a mead out of some of the cacao water, and we'll get into that recipe in a minute. But sometimes I personally don't like whole 2% milk. I've been trying to get off 2% into 1% milk. It's just my preference. But sorry, excuse me. I am so tired. Maybe it's because of the storm that's happening. And man, that thing woke me up. I'm telling you, that thing was like, boom! Like, and I'm like, oh no, Jesus! I was scared the Holy Ghost at me. No, play it. So on a serious note, you just take your milk and your cacao. I prefer to boil it and put it in liquid form because I find it easier for the milk to absorb that nutrients. But if you want, say like you're trying to do hot cocoa, you could choose the cacao powder instead, and boil the milk. But like if you're trying to drink the cacao milk cold, I'd recommend what you do is you take the gallon of milk. Make sure to have like a half-gallon container because you want to do like 2 half-gallon containers because you're basically taking half a gallon of milk and half a gallon of the cacao water and to fill it up. But if you're just wanting to do the cacao and the milk, you just take about 1/3 cup out of the container and fill that 1/3 cup space. You fill that with 1/3 cup of cacao powder instead, and then you just screw the top on. You shake it. Okay, make sure you shake it real good. And it's okay because if you see those little brown dots, that's just the cacao floating in there. Um, and then you add in the agave nectar to sweeten it up because cacao is very bitter, but agave nectar, I find that plant spirit is very sweet and kind and really loving too. So they go really well and in hand together. And it's like when you use agave nectar, it attracts a lot of things too. It can attract hummingbirds, butterflies, even bees. So it's like you're making that, you're attracting that positivity, you're attracting that happiness, that love, and that's what I do in order to create this recipe I've used actually for a long time now, and I feel that it has helped me with my depression. It has kept me from falling into a deep states of depression. It's really good. So again, cacao, milk, and water. But you don't have to have the water if you want to just do it with the cacao and the milk. You can. And agave nectar. So again, cacao, milk, agave nectar, and water is the optional ingredient. I'm not going to give you like any particular amount because of like how much to use because my amount may not work for your body. Like you might need a stronger dose or you might need a lower dose of cacao in your system. Now my next my next my next what was going with this? My next recipe, thank you, brain fart, is the cacao meat. And so I do cacao water and I put in the agave nectar, obviously, and then I put in the honey. Now, it's my own version of poke, but really wish I had the pulp of cacao fruit because I would really, 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 really would love to make some. So I gotta get me some cacao fruit and I will get some seeds and start growing some cacao fruit and just then I would love if I could get my hands on some cacao. Holy damn. Sorry, this cacao is like my main go-to when it comes to being an antidepressant and increasing dopamine levels. And it's just, it's just wow, like it is a powerful and really awesome plant. And it's also very grounding too. It's very grounding. All plants are grounding, but this one, its color is brown when you're grounding up when the cacao powder. It's brown, so that's like earth energy too. So it's kind of like you're getting in that earth energy, and it's so good. Okay, now the honey, the cacao mead is let's break down the ingredients. So cacao, obviously for happiness and love, and to work as an antidepressant. We got the water, mineral water in this case, and it's got all the minerals, so a lot of beauty, a lot of prosperity going on there. Then what you could do, then what not what you could do. Then there's the agave nectar, and the agave nectar is all about attracting that love, attracting that happiness, attracting that energy to ground yourself, right? And then the honey is also an attraction, but it's also like energetically believed to bring in wealth and money and prosperity. So it's like you're bringing in money, you're bringing in love, and you're bringing in happiness, right? So while you're drinking this mead, now this mead, I like to let it ferment for 3 days. Actually, I lied. Sorry. Well, no, 3 days. Oh, Lord Jesus, don't do that. Don't do that. I like to do it for like 3 months. That's just my preference because I do everything in threes. 3, 6, 9. I think you have to wait like 3 to 6 weeks to do it till it's done. So that's just with meat all around. I read that the more honey that you have, the more sweet, I guess, sweet it becomes. So if you want it more sweet, you're more than welcome to do that. Uh, I would recommend adding more agave though, because agave is like really sweet. So if you want it to be really, really sweet, you can definitely put in the agave instead. Um, Now, the next thing on the list is a stew version of the Ezekiel bowl. Actually, I just came up with this recipe actually on the fly, on while like really meditating, right? So like what you would do was you take your grain of barley, and you take wheat flour and take your grain of barley, okay? Now, what you're doing is you're taking that wheat flour, you're going to be adding in your eggs because you want 3 eggs. Three is also a sacred number for journeys, for short journeys. It's also one of the sacred numbers 3, 6, 9, secrets of the universe, all that good stuff. The maiden, mother, and crone, Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. So that Trinity energy is very powerful there. So, but eggs represent fertility, okay? So you get that wheat flour, and you get the eggs put the intention that you're making this bread, so that the money that you obtain will not only come successfully to you, but it'll come abundant and very fertile. That you'll be able to create more fertile, more wealth, more growth. So you take those and you mix that in, and what I would do instead of, because you got to think back in that day, goat's milk or cow's milk, I think would be better. But I would say, for me, if you're thinking about the times that they lived in, I would say more of cow's milk. I don't know. God just told me to say cow's milk. So cow's milk would be doing. I heard 1 cup of cow's milk. Well, it depends. If you're doing 2 cups of flour and you're just trying to make a small bread, just do like I would do everything in threes. This is the recipe. Actually, let me just read you the recipe, okay? 3 cups of wheat flour, 1.5 cups of milk, 3 eggs, and you mix that up, right? Then you add in your barley grains, and you do that. Add in your millets and your spelts, spelts. Add those in and not grain. And if you do have some wheat grain, put that in there. It ain't gonna hurt it. You're making like a really grainy, multi-grain bread, right? Now, what you're then gonna do is take the lentils and broad beans, and you're gonna put that as a soup. A soup. You're making a soup. Okay. Now, you make basically this beans. You're making a bean soup, and you're gonna have this bread on the side. So you're gonna have this bread on the side, and you're basically having all the same ingredients. And if you, the only thing that's missing is the candle. But you could basically have a candle like a Jesus candle or a money candle, whatever it is. I prefer to do the seven archangels um, candle, which actually I haven't seen any of those in a hot minute. Maybe I should start making those seven archangel candles because I have not seen them in a long time. So I don't know. I gotta ask Mama Eve to she know where I can get some because anyway, so that's the recipe for the Ezekiel 4-9 soup. I know it's usually a bowl, and basically you have the candle on it, and you light it once a week. But this is actually a good way to incorporate that, and you ingest it instead of having out. You're ingesting the spirit of the energy or the essence, if you will, of the Ezekiel 4-9 bowl. But in the sense, it's a soup bowl, so it's like a bean soup with some really good bread. Mm. Um, one other thing that you could add to this is while you're making the bread, I forgot to say this. This is one of the ingredients I missed an ingredient. Um, Let me actually write this in the comments. So 3 cups of wheat flour. 1.5 cup of either a goat's milk or cow. Now, another good one you could use is almond milk because almonds were used in the Bible by Aaron, and that's that sacred energy there. So you could use almond milk instead. So almond milk. Milk part. Okay, so we got the milk, we got the wheat, and then the 3 eggs, and add your grains of barley, wheat, millet, and spelts. And what just came to me in the spirit, I was told, they could turn this into an unleavened bread and making it more powerful. Because, unleavened bread was used a lot at sacred, like, sacraments and stuff, right? So, like, if you wanted to take out the milk and instead put water instead of dairy products, and that includes the eggs as well, you could make unleavened bread instead. So you could like if you could make an unleavened bread with this. But let me it's like some stuff comes to me, and then you cook the lentil and beans and make a soup. And then so what was it? Then the soup, and then serve soup in a bowl with the bread. Boom. So that's that. That's the whole recipe. 3 cups of wheat flour, 1.5 cups of milk. I prefer to use in this case, if I was trying to be more into the energy of the I would use, if I had to choose, I'd probably use almond milk or cow's milk. But 1.5 cup of milk and 3 eggs with the grains of barley, wheat, millet, and spells, and then add your 3 tablespoons of olive oil. Oh, yeah, and then you cook the lentil and the broad beans. Now you could get 10 bean soup. I even saw one that said or 15 bean soup. I even saw one that had 15 bean soup. On Walmart.com. And again, 15, 1 plus 5 equals the number 6. So you can incorporate that 3, 6, 9 energy. For example, instead of adding grain of barley, wheat, millet, and spelt, seeing as you got making using wheat flour, you could instead take out the wheat and do the barley, the millet, and the spelt. That's 3. You got 3 eggs. You got 1.5 cups. The 3 cups of flour. 3 tablespoons of olive oil. Yeah. But the only thing I haven't figured out what I need to adjust the 1.5 cup of milk because I want to make it to where it equals the number 3. You know what I'm saying? So it could be like 3. Oh, maybe you could do like 1 1/4. Who knows? But that's the Ezekiel soup bowl recipe. So let me go over it again, just so y'all make sure y'all got everything on the list. We got everything on the list. So you do the 3 cups of wheat flour. Then you do I choose to do 1.5 cups of milk. Okay. Then you put in your 3 eggs and add in your grains of barley, wheat, millet, and spelts, and 3 tablespoons of olive oil. And then you cook the lentils and the broad beans. Now you can get this in a bag called 10 bean soup or 15 bean soup. I prefer the 15 bean soup because the 15, 1 plus 5 equals the number 6. I always love incorporating that 3, that 6, and that 9 energy. You know what I'm saying? Um, so that is and then you basically just serve the bread with this lentil broad bean soup, and that's the Ezekiel 9 soup bowl. Now, Ezekiel 4:9 soup bowl. Now, Ezekiel 4:9 bowl is a bowl. I'm not going to go into details on it, but my friend Mama Eve, she does have a video on the Ezekiel 4:9 bowl, and she can say it better than I can. Honestly, I'm not good with words. So if you hop over to Mama Eve's channel, Mama Eve's channel. I think she just did this video. So, but basically, hers is a little different from mine. I just basically did it because she talked about cooking the rest of the stuff, and I'm like, wait a minute, you can make a whole meal. Like she said, you can make a whole meal out of this, but hold up. What if we actually made it in food instead of just having it in a bowl with the candle? Now you could still have the candle in like on the table while you are eating the lentil bean brown bean soup and the bread made from the barley and the wheat, the millet, and the spelt. So good. So that's what I got from that too. Like, I mean, I'm always love trying to incorporate anything that's like from the Bible and try to incorporate it into my what we call kitchen witchery or kitchen magic. You know, anything can be magical. Like when we wash the dishes, we're actually cleansing and purifying those dishes. When we're washing themselves, we are cleansing and we are purifying ourselves. So everything is magic. We are always doing magic, whether we know it or not. Okay, now for the next recipe, it's going to be a really awesome cake that I designed. This is my prosperity. I actually have two different prosperity, uh, prosperity love and love cakes. So the first cake is a strawberry cake, and what I prefer to do is I prefer to make it from scratch. But if you in a rush, you can use a strawberry cake mix. But I prefer to do fresh strawberries, cut up 369. I prefer to do 33 pieces of strawberry. I don't know why I'm so itchy all of a sudden. Why am I so itchy? Maybe when the rain was coming down, it made my skin itchy. But I do 33 strawberry. I cut up the strawberries. Now I use the leaves, so I take the leaves off and I make my own strawberry tea later. So I dry those out. Okay. So you do 33 strawberries. Then you take. I prefer to use coconut flour, and I take the coconut flour. But you can use any old flour, but I prefer to use coconut flour. And then what I do is I add in my three eggs, right, to represent that fertility, to make it very fertile, make it very prosperous. And then what I add in is a bit of cinnamon sugar and a hint of ginger, and I add in some vanilla extract, and I mix all that stuff up and put it in the oven. I put it on like 400. Anywhere I do 350 if I or the 400. It doesn't matter to me because my oven is the same, but it's basically 400 degrees if you want it to cook faster. But let's just say it's 350, and you cook that in for like 30 minutes, and then check it after that 30 minutes. You check it to see if it's good. If it's not good, you put it in, and for like another 10 to 15 minutes, and then you check it again to see if it's all like okay. And that's one of my prosperity love red love cakes. Now this is not to be a love spell. Okay, I want to make that very clear. This is not a love spell. We're not making anyone fall in love, but we are inviting the essence of love. Love can be anything from unconditional love to self-love. Um, so it doesn't necessarily have to mean that you give it to someone you are in love with. So, but you could use it for that and give it to someone you love with. But I'm not going to say it is to bring lover into your life. That's on you, and I don't, But then, what I then do after it's done, I put in the chocolate icing on top because chocolate represents happiness. Chocolate is energies of happiness and love. So you want to bring in the happiness, that good love in, and then you just do that, and then you just serve it like it is. Now I have another recipe Now, this is what requires you to get some pudding. Now, if you know how to make pudding from scratch, amen to you. I want to learn the recipe because I want to make pudding from scratch. But I don't know how to make pudding from scratch, because if I did, I wouldn't be using instant pudding. you know. So what I do is I take four boxes of the instant pudding mix, and I take my cacao milk and pour as I pour about 4 cups in, mix that in. Then I take in my coconut milk. Coconut flour. But if I'm trying to be in a rush and I want to get things done, I use like pancake mix instead, because it's still cake mix. Pancake mix is just cake mix. It's shaped like a pan. So I do pancake mix if I'm in a rush. But I mostly like to take my time, and I put the coconut flour in. And you still put in the 3 eggs. Okay, you put in the 3 eggs, let's just say the 3 eggs, pancake mix, the four boxes of instant pudding, of vanilla instant pudding, and put in the cacao milk, right? Then after that, you add in an orange. It was like an orange pudding mix, but if you don't got the orange pudding mix, you can bring in an orange jello mix, which work the same thing. You're just doing the orange for the flavor of orange. Then what you do is you take your cinnamon sugar, allspice, and your ginger, and put all of that in there, and do like a tiny pinch of salt, like put it over there, because you want to bring out the sweetness. Okay. And you could put oranges or strawberries, but that's optional. Like, you can use different fruits if you want to put fruit in there. To make a fruit cake, you could do that. So good. Now you could do, this is something you can do. Like, you can put grapes. Grapes are prosperity. Strawberries are prosperity and love. Grapes can be used for money spells, but there's also oranges. Oranges can be used for not only money, but to bring in positivity, and because it's the light. You could like the light, so you could bring in that good and light energy. Good energy, positivity. Trying to think, what else could you do up in this? You could do a nut almond cake, where you could put almonds or black walnuts or anything like that. You could do something like that. But those are just all options. But to go over this recipe again, 4 instant pudding packets, the pancake mix, the 3 eggs, the milk, then the orange pudding mix. Or if you don't got orange pudding mix, you can get orange gelatin mix and put that in there, and you mix that all up together. And you add in the cinnamon sugar, the ginger, and the allspice, and mix it all in together, and you pour that into a pan. Oh, and you don't forget your butter. Don't forget your butter, guys. Don't forget your butter. I forgot to say the butter. Put it in the butter. I put in a whole stick of butter. That's just me. But then, once that's done, you mix it. You pour it in the pan. Put it on 350, and then wait until your oven preheats the 350. Then you put it in the oven for about 30 minutes. And I like to check in 30-minute intervals. So if it ain't done in 30 minutes, I put it in, and I'll wait about like 15 to 20 minutes before checking it again. So that's just me. That's my preference. But that's another prosperity love cake. Now this one's a lot more towards prosperity and money than anything else, but it's got that love energy too. Plus, vanilla is a lunar plant, where oranges are a solar plant. Sun and moon, balancing the masculine and the feminine. Then you're incorporating the eggs with fertility, so making that positive and that yin and yang energy to be very fertile, right? And then you're adding in that ginger to amplify, to the cinnamon sugar, which cinnamon is money, but sugar is like very sweet and loving, Then, as you're putting that in, you're putting in the allspice, which allspice is believed to be a money herb, So, so that are all the recipes that I got today, guys. I hope these recipes were good to you. Know that you don't have to be a quote unquote kitchen witch. Like, these are just recipes that I make, and I just put intention behind it, because that's what magic is. You're putting intention behind what it is you're making. Like, say you're making a sweater for your son, and you put in all that love. That love is being transferred to that sweater. You feel me? You putting in love. You putting in that love magic. That unconditional love. Like, oh, this is for my grandson Jimmy. I love him so much. And some people actually do prayer shows where they make prayer shows or prayer sweaters, and each time they do a little one, they make them do a prayer. So that's one of these. I'm gonna make a video about prayer shawls and prayer, how to prayer sweaters and how good they can be. Like, So I'll see you guys later in the next episode of Kitchen Magic 101. Until next time. Kisses, hugs, and love to all of you beautiful, amazing souls. Magical blessings. Until next time.